How did the journey of starting your own started?
Me and Ankit were talking and we saw the opportunity around the food space in India because Open Table was acquiring Top Table in the UK, and we studied that model and saw that this is a brilliant model, right? You're not owning any asset but still you make shitloads of money profitably. And I think within a month I decided to quit and go back to India, and then it took us a year from then to launch Dineout in Feb 2012. And the first office was in my garage. So in my house there was a garage. We converted that into an office. So we started off from there. So the first 3-4 months we worked out of there.
What was the journey post that? How was the evolution like of Dine Out?
But I think the turning point for us in our journey happened in 2017 when the payment environment in the country changed, right? With demonetization happening, and we said that we want to sort of pivot from being only a reservations player to being a full stack player for the customer. And that's when we launched payments as a platform. And then COVID hit us, which was like a bad situation for us, right? For 3 months, we were completely shut. We didn't know what to do. We had zero revenue coming in. We had an 800 people team. The resilience of the business, like we didn't realize at that point. Within like 6 months, we were 2x of our pre-COVID numbers, right? That gave us great confidence and we were like, okay, things can come back to normal. And by July 22, we were a part of the Swiggy team.
And Sahil, a message that you would like to give to the Indians living abroad?
I think there are immense opportunities, and like I said, in every aspect, I think there is a 100x growth which is possible. I think in the next 20 years from now, there will be a cycle for India where India is the superpower, and to reach there, that growth in the next 20 years is going to be crazy.
We had Sahil Jain with us today. Sahil is the founder of Dineout. Dineout is a popular table reservation platform in India. Dineout was acquired by Swiggy. So during our conversation, we covered Sahil's early life, what shaped him the most, Sahil's time in the US, why did he move back to India, founding story of Dineout, how was he able to scale Dineout, the difficult times at Dineout, and also his advice to those who are thinking about moving back to India and who is he outside of work. Sahil, so good to have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here. Looking forward to our conversation.
Absolutely. You've really changed the way consumers in India dine out,
Right.
and you've really helped restaurants get discovered, bring in more customers through your company, which has become a verb in India called Dine Out. So, congrats on that, Sahil.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So, to get started, we're really a byproduct of our environment. What shaped you the most while growing up? What was the environment like for you?
Okay. See, I come from a business sort of a family. My dad was into business all throughout and still is. My grandfather also. So while growing up, there was this thing that because I was good at studies, they would say, "Ha, you need to become a engineer, doctor, this, that, all of that was there." And I was like, "Yeah, I will probably do engineering at some point." 10th is what I decided I'll do that. 10th or 11th, right? But at the back of the mind, the whole thing was that whatever learning I do, whatever studies I do, eventually I want to start my own business, right? So there was always this entrepreneurial sort of thought that at some point in time I need to start something of my own, which I can say I've started. So that was the environment, and my father is like a very even till date, like a very strong businessman, very strong business acumen, and that's something which I wanted to sort of, and I think I also sort of gained that from him, and I wanted to apply that and make sure that I can create a business of my own.
Got it. And how did the journey of starting your own started? Maybe we can take it from I know that your first job was in India. You worked here for a bit, and then you moved to US. Let's start from there.
In fact, like actually the starting up journey, in fact, like me and Ankit, in fact, first spoke about something in class 12th, right after school. We wanted to start a business around the education space where we felt that, we had a lot of relatives in the US and they're like, maths is very difficult to study in the US. And we thought that can we teach students in US mathematics, and that time the technology was like what I'm talking about 2002, right?
Mhm.
There was no tech per se, and we thought that that's maybe an opportunity we should look at. And our parents were like, "What are you guys smoking? Just go and study,
Yeah,
right?"
yeah.
So like कीड़ा तब से था, मतलब दिमाग में there was
So always
always
looking for opportunities.
yeah, always looking for opportunities. But then obviously after that we went our separate ways. Me and Ankit, like I was studying in Bangalore. I did my engineering. Ankit was in UK. Post that, I worked for a bit in Bangalore. Then I did my MBA from IIM from there, I went to US for a couple of years. I was in Seattle between 2000, and I graduated in the worst year, like when the whole financial meltdown happened, 2009.
Mhm.
Jobs were really hard to get, but then luckily I got a good sort of thing with Mu Sigma, and I was heading their US sort of analytics piece in Seattle, right?
Mhm.
So I was there for a couple of years, but me and Ankit used to keep talking about something or the other, right? That
Mhm.
when do we start something? We want to start something because we were like slogging our ass off, working 16 hours a day
Mhm.
for an XYZ company, and he was with BNP, I was Microsoft Mu Sigma, and we were like, we can build something of our own that will be truly good, right? So 2009 to 11, I did that, but then finally, I think me and Ankit were talking, and we saw the opportunity around the food space in India because Open Table was acquiring Top Table in the UK, and we studied that model and saw that this is a brilliant model, right? You're not owning any asset, but still you make shitloads of money profitably, and something like this is not available in India.
Mhm.
And we were both sort of foodies, and along with two of our other co-founders, Nikhil and Vivek, so all four of us finally got together. All childhood friends, know each other for 35 years. We four finally got together and started Dine Out in 2012. Um, I moved back in 2011. I was the first to move back. I just when we discussed this idea, I researched for about a month and a half, and I think within a month I decided to quit and go back to India.
Mhm.
So this was in December 2010. I sort of moved back to India in like Jan or Feb 2011,
Mhm.
and then it took us a year from then to launch Dine Out in Feb 2012.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that was the journey where we said that there's a massive growing opportunity in India. There are models available globally which are doing really well, not available in India, and the internet penetration is really low today, but it will grow over a period of time. That was the bet we were making,
Mhm.
and we just took that leap of faith and sort of moved back to India to start Dine Out in 2011-12.
2011, 12. So you were pretty clear what you wanted to do after moving back to India.
Yeah, I
And,
mean the
and this was
decision
the
was
reason.
yeah, this Dine Out was the reason why I moved back.
Uh-huh.
Clearly,
You just couldn't stop thinking about it.
yeah.
And
I was looking for a reason to move back to India, and Dine Out was the reason. It just came my way, right?
yeah.
It could have been Dine Out or any other business, but
Yeah.
I think it was in our DNA to start something, and
Yeah.
Dine Out was the first thing which stuck, and it did really well for us.
Yeah. So basically, there were no, brainstorming around ideas that had already been done while you were both abroad. You were in US and Ankit
Yeah.
was in UK, and okay, now we will be starting Dine Out. So back in 2012, there weren't that many internet users.
Yeah.
There were, I mean, there was no sophisticated payments platform also. How was the early journey like? Sahil, let's talk about your first office, first few hires,
Yeah.
and maybe that first big uh, uh, close, meaning a restaurant that you onboarded, which gave you a lot of confidence.
Yeah. No, so I think initially hiring was actually the toughest part, right? When you come, like Ankit was coming from UK, I was in the US. We didn't have any experience in hiring people in India, running a business. So getting the right people on board, whether it was in tech, in our call center, for customer relationships, for marketing, sales, getting the right people was extremely hard. And the culture was a bit different versus, what we experience outside of India, right? In terms of work ethics, right? Like how much you need to monitor what everyone's doing, what's working, what's not working. So I think hiring was one sort of big challenge that we faced early on in terms of getting the team right. But I think over a period of time, we understood what's the culture we want to build, the kind of people we want to hire, how we want to train them and stuff. So I think that was one big sort of learning for us in terms of hiring the right people. In terms of setting up, learning wise, Another big thing was when we started, we thought we'll just, come in and launch a website and we'll get a bunch of traffic, and that's how we'll, run the business. But obviously, it was so early that people were not on the internet that much or searching for stuff like this, right? In fact, people love to be on phone, right? So we immediately had to switch to having a mobile number on which people could call, right, and make their bookings, right? And almost 80% of our business started happening through phone. So we had to quickly set up a call center where people could call in, get their bookings done. And we were the ones manning the call center early on, right? Before we got any actual people to man that for us. So we were juggling between signing up more restaurants and actually manning the call center. Two of us would be at the call center and two of us would be out there signing up restaurants, right? Between the four of us. So that's how we started in terms of, manning the call center and signing up restaurants. And the first office was in my garage. So in my house, there was a garage. We converted that into an office. So we started off from there. So the first 3-4 months, we worked out of there. So my dad, rented, like, gave that space to us. Obviously, he didn't charge us any money, but then, yeah, that was our first starting point from where we ran our entire bunch of operations. But yeah, so the early on thing was that there weren't internet users. We actually had to get to the call center. In fact, our first partnership from a marketing perspective was with Just Dial, right? Because that was a period where Google also wasn't that popular. People were not searching that much. People would actually call up Just Dial for numbers, right? And we actually did a marketing tie-up with Just Dial that if anyone's calling to get a restaurant's number, you pass on that lead to us. And we would then call that person and say, hey, you're looking to go to this restaurant, we can help you get a booking done and get you a discount as well. Which was a shocker for people. They're like, why are you doing this? Is there some commission involved? Am I going to get charged something? We actually had to tell people, no, this is nothing. It's just a free service where I'm helping you get a reservation, etc., and some discount, right? Plus a discount. And in Delhi, we started, and there were these bunch of ladies who would do kitty parties and stuff. And they're like, "Kyun kar rahe ho? Why are you doing this? What's the thing?" But they loved the discounts, right? So gradually, the word started spreading that there's this company you can just call up and do discounts, etc. And that's how we started, right? So the first 12 months, that was how we grew virally, right? Where because of the feedback that people passed on to their people, and they got to know that you can get bookings done, reservation. There was no payments at that point in time. There were no apps. So it sounds weird that it's only 12 years back, but 2012, there were no apps in India. The first app in India was launched in 2014 by Flipkart. So we are talking of an era when there was no apps, there was no WhatsApp. There was actually BlackBerry Messenger. So in fact, another marketing trick that we use, again from a guerrilla marketing perspective, was we created multiple BBM groups, as they call it, right? And one group could have a max of 256 people or whatever. And we would just create those groups and send marketing messages out to friends and family that, you can book a table at so-and-so restaurant, get so much discount, etc. And that's how the word spread. So those were the free marketing things that we use through Just Dial, BBM, etc., to actually get our initial bunch of customers. There was no Facebook, there was no WhatsApp, there was no Google that we used for the first 6-8 months to get those initial bunch of customers, because we were bootstrapped. We were sort of not spending too much on marketing per se. So that's how our journey sort of started, to be honest.
And as a first-time founder, raising capital is one of the hardest things, especially the first round of capital. How did that journey go about, and who was your first believer?
That's also a very interesting story. That money, actually 6 months or 8 months post we started, there was a customer who had been using us for the last sort of 3 to 6 months, and they called up at the call center and said that, who's the founder of this company? I want to meet that person. And I think one of us was only handling the phone, and we acting as call center agents. And we said, we'll just share your details and we'll get the founder to call you back, etc. Right? So he was a customer, and we called him back, and it turned out he was a senior from school. Like we are from modern school, Vasant Vihar, and there's this guy called Ankush Nijhavan. I don't know if you know him. They are the big people now with TBO, Travel Boutique Online. So they run TBO. At that time, they were also starting off with TBO. And he said, I want to invest into this business. This sounds like a great idea, and it's a need of the hour. And we met him and his partner Gaurav. very quickly, and they just decided to put in the first seed check. And we didn't even know what a seed check is. We weren't even looking for funding because we were bootstrapping and we still had some money left from our savings, right? And we actually didn't know how to do a full seed round, a proper agreement, getting a lawyer in. कुछ पता ही नहीं था. मतलब there was no guidance also. See, today the environment is so different. There are 100 people to guide you. There are so many things online. There are so many advisors. There are people like us who can guide first-time founders in terms of how to not make mistakes, etc. That time there was no environment. In fact, like starting up wasn't cool as it is today, right? I remember when we were starting off, like my parents were like, why are you leaving a high-paying, cushy job in the US and doing this? And same for Ankit, right? And I'm like a Jain, a Banyan. They wanted to get me married, and they were like, "Ki shaadi karwani hai ye, jo naukri chhod ke you're starting a new business. Nobody's gonna get married to you, right?" And they were like, "When I say I'm doing this, right?" But then the objective was to get this guy married. So in fact, like before we started, like just before we started, like a month before that, I got engaged, and I got married as well immediately after we started off, because that was their biggest concern. Ki shaadi kaise hogi? Now it's the opposite. Now I think people are looking for people who are starting up, etc.
Shadi.com mein number one search is startup founder.
Exactly.
Most preferred.
Most preferred. So that's changed. That's the change in the last 10 years, right? So that's how our first round happened. It was a customer who turned out to be a senior from school who put in the seed check, and that was how it was. So we didn't have to run around, struggle for that first check, to be honest. It just happened. And we didn't even know how and why that happened, but it happened.
So it's fascinating, Sahil, how the culture is changing. I don't know if you know Sahil of Ship Rocket.
Right.
And he had the similar story. My parents were worried that I'm leaving US at a high-paying job and all that, around marriage, similar thing. We'll be doing a startup, and
now it's like it's the opposite, right? Like my dad is like, now you can run 3 companies in parallel, I think. You can, with Shark Tank, it seems so easy. Like everyone's glued on to Shark Tank, like as if it's so easy, right? That's the other thing. That everyone thinks that it's easy, right? Which is also not true, right? To some extent. But then at least it's built that aspirational culture where people want to build something, which is great. I think for the country overall, from a growth perspective, with so many opportunities out there, it's a great culture that, slowly is creeping up and changing.
Big time. And Sahil, you got some capital now from a customer who became your investor. You got some confidence. Okay, people are believing in us. It's not just us believing in ourselves.
Yes, absolutely.
What was the journey post that? How was the evolution like of Dineout? Initially, of course, it was more around it's a table booking, and then you can get discounts, and then later on, you also build products for the restaurants where they can manage their customers, they can manage their inventory and bunch other products. So maybe walk us through the evolution.
So post this round of seed funding, I think although we thought that it's great, we've got money, it's going to be rosy and we'll do scale up XYZ, but it turned out to be really hard. Once you take someone else's money, there's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, right? A lot of monitoring, also a lot of learning as well as to how to run a business, because we were first time founders ourselves, right? So I think we learned that the hard way in terms of how to scale a business, what to do, what not to do, made a lot of mistakes, burned some money as well. And what happened was immediately after this, 2013 was actually a very bad period for startup funding, right? Money had completely dried up per se, right? In general, there wasn't much confidence on India, if you think about it. Globally as well, India wasn't really looked upon very favorably. It was in 2014 when Modi came, when things turned around, right? And what happened was that late 2013, early 2014, we were talking to Times Internet for a partnership, because they had a platform called, which was like a discovery platform similar to Zomato, because Zomato was also a discovery platform at that time. And we wanted to partner with them for reservations. We said, you've got a discovery platform, we can enable reservations for you. That's how the conversation started, and we started talking to Miten. And Miten has been a mentor to us for a long time now. And he said ki, chalo boss, aa jao, we'll acquire your business and we'll build this out together. And that's what happened in 2014. We joined Times Internet in April 2014, which we felt was a great thing, because now we could build things at scale. There was capital, there was marketing available to us, etc., which we could use to sort of scale up. So that was a great, like a big moment in our overall journey, that we joined Times Internet. But what happened post that was, like, in terms of the startup culture, there was truckloads of money that came in suddenly with after the Modi election came in. I think 2015, 14, 15 was like a golden era for startups. Like, people were raising money left, right, and center, like $1 million just on the fact that you're from IIT, IIM, Seco, just land you a $1 million check, go start something, right? It was
investors were chasing.
Yeah, it was like crazy. If you remember, there were 10 food startups that came in that couple of years, and more on food delivery side. That's when even Swiggy started, for that matter. And they emerged as winners, but there were 10 others which shut down through the route, right? And that point we were thinking, did we do the right thing? Did we not do the right thing? We could have raised more capital. But now we were part of Times Internet. But the good part there was, we learned to, again, build the business in a frugal manner, in the best manner, not chasing like big VC money, series A, B, C, but trying to build the right business. So that's something that we learned at Times Internet in that era, while others were like losing their shit and, burning money left, right, and center, right? So that happened. But I think the turning point for us in our journey happened in 2017, when the payment environment in the country changed, right? With demonetization happening and Paytm, UPI, etc., sort of coming up gradually, the whole wallet scene. We said that we want to sort of pivot from being only a reservations player to being a full stack player for the customer. And that's when we launched payments as a platform. Because what the problem was, that I could reserve a table for a customer. You could go, you dine at a restaurant, and then you walk out, and I have no clue that you actually went, and if you went, how much you spent, what happened after that. The restaurant would say this person never came. It was a whole operational struggle for us to manage that and keep that in check. That's when we said, we will do reservations, but I'm not going to charge the restaurant for reservations. I will actually enable payments, so that once you pay through my platform, I know that you went to a Mama Goto or a Yum Yum Cha, made a reservation, paid the bill through it, and have a confirmed result that you were there, right? So that it just completes the cycle for me as well as the customer as well. Because otherwise, what would happen is that the customer would reserve and then forget about us. Now they remember us through the entire journey, because payment is the final step in your journey, right? So that was like a huge success for us. We launched payments. I think we were the first players to launch payments in late 2017, early 2018. And that time we had to push people to pay through us, because it didn't come naturally to people. We actually had to incentivize, do cashbacks and stuff, burn some money. Nobody else was doing it at that time. There weren't any players. Even Zomato was focused on the whole delivery fight with Swiggy at that. So dining out was not really a big focus area for them as well, right? And through 2017, 18 till 2020, before COVID hit us, I think we got that hockey stick growth on the payment side, right? Where we were doing like crazy amounts of payment transactions, which gave us a lot of customers, a lot of loyalty, a lot of, customer love, which happened. And then obviously, COVID hit us, which was like a bad situation for us, right? For 3 months, we were completely shut. We didn't know what to do, because delivery was still happening, right? There was Zomato, Swiggy still delivering to customers at home, because the government had allowed that, but restaurants were shut. We had zero revenue coming in. We had an 800 people team managing that, the salaries, etc., along with Times also on our heads that has to, we need to do something about business. So we tried a bunch of things around the B2B side by doing contactless dining, launching SaaS products on the restaurant side, all of that. But while it did take off, a lot of restaurants did take it, but I think post wave one, I think things came back to normal very quickly, right? I mean, by October 2020, people were again going out again. And the resilience of the business, like, we didn't realize at that point, within like 6 months, we were 2x of our pre-COVID numbers, right? So that gave us great confidence, and we were like, okay, things can come back to normal. And just while that was happening, wave 2 happened again. So wave 2 happened again in 2021, and we were like, oh fuck, what's going to happen? It's just crazy. Again, we're going through this. And but again, we knew with our wave. See, wave one, we didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But now wave two, we at least had a playbook. We knew what happened in wave one. We can get across this. So
Yeah.
wave two also, we again waited out a couple of months, and then I think in the next 3 months we were like 4 or 5 times of our pre-COVID number, because that revenge consumption thing was real. We could actually see that happening play out in front of our eyes, where people were like rushing out, spending more money. Our average ticket size, which was 2,000 rupees, suddenly became 3,000 rupees.
Yeah.
I don't know if the restaurant jacked up their prices or people just started spending
spending
more,
more.
and I'm going to die soon and let me
I
spend
think they
more
started
money.
spending more.
So they just started spending more, right? And our business took off like crazy, right? And in that 1.5 2 years, we had been talking to Swiggy, etc.,
Yeah.
for opportunities from an acquisition perspective. Other things didn't pan out. They were also sort of wondering, is this the right decision with COVID? Will dining out again be back or not?
Yeah.
But finally, I think post wave two, when the business took off, I think everyone realized that offline experiences are here to stay. People
Yeah.
are going to step out and they will dine out a lot more.
Yeah.
And that's when the Swiggy deal as well happened, right?
Yeah.
So, and by July 22, we were a part of the Swiggy team, because
Swiggy
we did the term sheet in late 21, and over the next
Uh-huh.
5-6 months, the DD and everything happened, and we joined them in July 22. And
Yeah.
that's the whole journey for Dineout up till acquisition. So a full 10-year cycle for us,
Yeah.
from 2012 to July 22, when we finally became a part of the Swiggy
Uh-huh.
whole
Yeah.
household.
So the
yeah.
day you signed the term sheet, how did the evening look like between you four? Did you?
Oh, it was crazy. We thought that it is all closed and signed up, and we thought we'll go out and party, etc. And we were out there having a few drinks, and our lawyer calls up and says, something is missing, something's gone wrong. And I'm like, what the hell? What's going on? I thought it's all done. We had already few drinks down. I don't know what you're talking about.
Ankit
And-
Sonia, so Sonia.
So that happened, but then finally, in the next couple of days, it got resolved, and we finally did it. But yeah, it was a funny story where we thought it's all done, but at 11 p.m., the lawyer is calling us, ki, nee, there's still something pending. I'm like, fuck, what's happening? But then finally, we got it over the line, and it joined Swiggy in July.
Yeah.
22.
And Sahil, what kind of scale does Swiggy Dineout has now? How many customers use the product? How many restaurants are on board?
See, now there are almost about 25, 30,000 odd restaurants on the platform, right? Across, 16, 20 different cities, doing $500 million worth of GMV on an annual basis. That's how large the payment business is. Obviously, in terms of the overall Swiggy business, which is on food delivery, a bit small, but it's scaling up, right? It's already doubled in the last year or so, last couple of years. And I think there's a massive, massive opportunity in the dining out space, because overall the dining out industry is actually much larger than the delivery industry, if you think about it, right? The average ticket size for us is 3,000 rupees, whereas delivery is about 400-500 rupees.
Yeah.
So 6x the AOV. So in terms of GMV, it is like almost a 3x the market size, for 3 to 4x the market size of food delivery. It's just that the digital penetration is less than 5% for online transactions in dining out.
Yeah.
So as that grows, it will become a significant chunk of the overall business for both Swiggy and Zomato, for that matter.
Yeah.
So I think offline experiences will continue to scale and grow. You can see how even Zomato, for that matter, is scaling up the whole events business. So we had an events business as well in Dineout called Steppin' Out that we were scaling up. That's taken a bit of a backseat right now, but I think that will also scale over a period of time.
Yeah. So look, the idea of Dineout came from your time in the US. That's where you discovered OpenTable. Are there any other things that influence you in terms of building Dineout, whether it's the culture or the worldview you got in the US? Did it help you in other ways as well?
See, the worldview in US, no, I think, it did help in the sense that I knew what are the different opportunities, right, which are doing well in the US and can do well in India. And there was this thing that India is, let's say, 5 years or 10 years behind in the overall cycle of development, right?
Yeah.
So whatever happened in Silicon Valley, let's say in 2001, 2002, will now happen, in 2011, 12, 13
Yeah.
in India. So I need to be there early, right? If I'm there early, then I can be a part of that cycle and see that cycle through how it scales, right? So the advantage of that, and now I think, if I think about it, is good, is that I was 26 back then, 20 when we started Dineout, right? We've exited Dineout now.
Yeah.
We'll be turning 40 soon.
Yeah.
So I think there's an opportunity to do another business now,
Yeah.
another cycle, right?
Yeah.
So I can see two cycles. If I would have started later, let's say 35, 40,
Yeah.
then probably there was only one business in the cycle that I could do, right? But now I think because we started early, we're here and have learned a lot in this journey, I think we can build a much better, larger, bigger, more impactful business now in our next venture that we are thinking about. So I think from that perspective, I think it's good to start early. Yeah.
Now we'll talk about the second cycle in a bit.
Yeah.
Before that, Sahil, we discussed turning points. One was when you started the payments product. That really changed the trajectory of the business. But were there, let's talk about the hard times.
Yeah.
Maybe talk about one or two instances which were really, really hard. Like you still remember that. But you remember that in a way कि अब सोचते हो कि अगर वो कर लिया है तो ये तो कुछ भी नहीं है.
Right. So I think two instances. I think one was just before we got the Times Fund partnership in 2014, like late 2013, like when I told you.
Yeah.
It was a very tough time. We were running out of money. We were barely left with anything, and we were chasing investors left, right, and center to try and get some money into the bank. We're getting very raw deals in terms of equity, etc., and we didn't want to sort of dilute that much, and we were sure that we want to get a better deal. So we were struggling to keep the team afloat, right? Because we had to pay salaries and stuff. We were doing it. We were running this office in CR Park in the basement, and I still remember it was the rainy season and the water just sort of came into the basement and it was flooded. But somehow we kept the call center on even then, right?
Yeah.
So we had like 2 or 3 guys. We're like, you guys continue the calls while we try and sort of sweep the water out. So me and our other founders, there are actually pictures where we are actually sweeping the water out so that those guys can continue the calls and nothing disturbs them and they can continue with the party bookings or the restaurant bookings and stuff.
Yeah.
So we've seen that and sort of done that in that era. And then again, at 100x the scale, right in the peak of COVID, like I said, it was an 800 member team versus a 10 member team at that time in 2013.
Yeah.
And again, 3 months, actually we were, in 2013, we at least knew that there is resilience. Let's just keep doing and moving forward, something will happen. Here, there was genuine sort of existential crisis, so to say, right? Even we didn't know what this COVID thing is. Matlab, is this going to go on for a year, 2 years? Or like nobody knew, right? It's so new, nothing, there was no playbook that we could use. And we were like totally out of our minds that how do we manage the situation? How do we keep the payrolls on? Times also had a budget that, we had to stick to. Finally, we actually had to let go of some people, which was very hard. So letting go, deciding how to let which people go, it was extremely emotional, tough, hard. We couldn't even meet people. Obviously, a lot of people were remote. We had to do it over calls. We had to do a severance package and stuff. But again, overall, from a team morale perspective, our emotional perspective, it was extremely hard.
Yeah.
But I think somehow we managed to overcome that and, like I said, come across better on the other side, right? It just gave us better perspective on how to be leaner in terms of not hiring too many people, burning less money, even the cashbacks, etc. that we were doing, we cut it down to zero. Still our customer stuck to us because sometimes when you reset, right, you realize how strong your brand is or how strong your customer love is. Otherwise, you're living in self-doubt. You're like, if I change this, will my customer stop using me? There's that scare, right? But now here, there was no option. Matlab, karna hi hai. Matlab, otherwise, dhanda band hai, right? So when there is that thing that there is no other option, and we had to switch things off, and we could still see those customers coming back despite reducing the discounts, despite reducing the cashbacks. we realized the true power of what we've actually built. Till then, we didn't have that realization. Actually, COVID made us realize how strong the brand we had built over the last 6-7 years. So I think that was a real sort of turning point for us, or a learning that we can actually reset things. We don't need to be scared about making those changes, right? You can actually reset things, do the things the right way, which are best for your business, without compromising on the customer sort of perception, right?
Yeah.
So I think those two instances are very clear in my mind, which were sort of hard struggles, but then we came out on top. In both cases.
And Sahil, talking about how India dines out. You've seen. I mean, you're the master of it. You've seen it from the beginning when people would not dine out as much.
Yeah.
I mean, in my upbringing, for us going out, and probably similar to you as well. Going out was maybe once a week or maybe once a month. But now things have changed.
Yeah.
How has that evolved, and what do you see in the future, and what's driving that change?
See, earlier in India, dining out was very occasion based. It's my birthday, you'll go out, parents' birthday, anniversary, etc. It's very occasion based. It wasn't really a cultural thing that every weekend I'm going out and dining out, right? It's a function of obviously disposable income as well. I think our parents, etc., the mindset was more on the saving side, right? How much you can save for your kids. There's education for the kids to be done. There wasn't enough income. India was at a different stage as a country, I would say, right? Now, with the growth in the last 10 years, there's so much disposable income available to people. Culturally, we are so attuned to what's happening in the Western world with social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, etc. We are so social media driven sort of economy now. And the whole, so to say, this whole wokeism culture as well, stuff happening around mental health, XYZ, wellness, etc. People, and now COVID also happened along with that. That was a double whammy, which forced people to say that I want to enjoy my life. I think that's one mindset shift from saving money to enjoying my life. Right, is the shift that people have sort of seen, right? And in that shift, people are ready to spend more. They want to spend more because they want convenience. So they're valuing convenience above everything else, right? So if you go back to 2018-19, nobody would pay for, I'm talking about a small thing, for delivery, right? The 20, 30, 50 rupees would pinch people. Today, people are ordering 4 times a day from Blinkit or Instamart and paying that 20 rupees convenience for delivery, right? It doesn't hurt. They want that. They prefer that because they're valuing convenience over everything else. So there is a mindset shift where people are saying, I'm okay to spend more money. I've got this money. I don't want to store it in my bank. I want to live my life. It could be vacation. If you go to any Taj or ITC property, it's full. They're charging 50,000 rupees a night. There's no availability. Restaurants are full. People want to pay for it. People are doing grocery online. So I think in general, there is this shift that people are willing to pay for convenience and comfort. And I think more and more businesses will come up in that space, in that mass premium sort of space where people are willing to pay for that comfort and convenience. It could be anything, whether it is food, it is events, it is delivery, anything, right? I think that is the shift that we're seeing in India, and I still feel we are very early in that journey. So even though people say, "Log itna kharch kar rahe hai, ye ho raha hai, wo ho raha hai," if you think about it, it's still only the 0.1% people who are doing that. Right? In China, same numbers for each business are still 50x. For food delivery, for dining out, people are dining out 50 times more. People are doing food delivery 50 times more. Right? With that population size. I'm just doing a comparison, right? So India is still early in that journey. In the next 5 years, these numbers will continue to blow up, and people aren't imagining how large those numbers can be. So we are on that early path where this consumerism, as they say, is going to just scale up to the next level in the next sort of 5 to 6 years.
No, absolutely. Especially, in hotels in India, earlier, a lot of the rooms were occupied by foreigners. Now it has completely changed.
Domestic tourism is higher than international.
International, and also I think the mindset shift which you talked about, where it's not about savings, it's about let's live the life.
Yeah, COVID accelerated that thought process, I
Yeah.
think.
And it's going to be interesting to see how, and of course a lot of it is driven through Gen Zs.
Yes.
And imagine when Alpha,
Oh, yeah, it's going to
Gen
be.
Alpha comes in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's really a matter of going from, I think currently we are at what, 2.7 or 3,000 GDP per capita. Once it reaches 4,000 or 4,500, then it just completely changes. That's what the learning was from Chinese market.
Yes. Yes.
And Sahil, look, you've come back and you've created a large impact where Dineout is almost a verb. Like we just asked Sandeep, have you booked a table
Yeah.
at a restaurant through Dineout? So it's a big impact that you've created by coming back to India, and Dineout was one of the largest tech acquisitions in India. Do you think you could have had a similar impact if you had just stayed back in the US?
I doubt that. Honestly, like there are peers of mine who are still there doing very well for themselves. I think there's no problem in
Yeah.
that. But I don't think you just get sort of comfortable in your life, right? It's a monotonous thing. We're doing that job day in and day out. It could be any field, right? Consulting, analytics, marketing, whatever it is. You get better and better in your field. But I think everyone has a different DNA. I don't think personally I would have enjoyed that journey just for a decade doing the same thing again and again, being a part of another company, not building an IP of your own, which I pride myself upon that we built Dineout. I think that wouldn't have given me that much satisfaction. Probably I would have done well. I think
Yeah.
being a smart guy, I think you can excel in any job that you do, right? But I don't think I would have enjoyed that journey as much, right? Here I was able to do product, tech, sales, revenue, partnerships, marketing, whatever I felt I could. I think I understand the whole P&L business landscape, more than anybody else, right? You're a half lawyer, you're a half CA, you're a half everything, right? So I think that's an interesting journey, which now you can apply to build something even bigger, is how I think about it.
Yeah. So talking about that bigger thing, let's dive into that. You're starting a new company.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that new company. How did the idea come about, and what are you looking to accomplish?
See, post Dineout, I think we were there for about 18 months with Swiggy, and post that, we realized you want to do something new, fresh, our next venture, because we're turning 40, right? And for us, it was that, that one last shot to build another company, and then probably, hopefully, if it's big enough, then probably retire post that, right? So that's what we were looking at. And I think healthcare was something which was very exciting for us. We had been thinking about it for a long time. And both me and Ankit, we just studied the different sort of ideas. We met like everybody in the sector, from investors to operators to people in India, outside India, because there was another thing that we want to do something globally this time, right? Not just India focused. So we did all of that, and then finally we zeroed in on this idea, which is around medical travel, right? We saw that it's a massive, massive opportunity. It's $100 billion market today. People obviously travel today for medical tourism across the globe for various reasons, right? In India itself, it's a large industry, about $10 billion. But we didn't want to enter the existing market where people today come from countries like Africa, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Iraq, etc. It's too crowded a market with multiple sort of agents, operators at an informal basis operating. Our thesis was more towards that. And again, coming from the inside, from us having lived abroad in the developed world and having a lot of folks whom we know in US, UK, Canada, that healthcare is struggling over there, right? UK, Germany, France, Canada, US, all are struggling in different shapes and form. And we know that healthcare is booming in India in terms of the quality of healthcare available, the private equity investments going in, the number of doctors who've come back from US, UK, Canada to set up shop here, reverse brain drain happening. There are a lot of opportunities in terms of the government push, etc. So is there an opportunity to capitalize on this developed world to India corridor, right? Because we felt that people are coming from all these other countries, but nobody's coming from the developed world, because there is this perception of India where they still think of India in a very third world way, or a snake charmer's land, so to say, right? And that has changed, genuinely changed, and people don't realize there's not enough awareness, right? Or trust. So our thought was that, can we change that, build that awareness or trust on brand India, and capitalize on that, and get people even from there to India for their medical sort of treatments, right? Because the way we think about it is that, 2000 to 2010 was the call center outsourcing era for the world. 2010 to 20 was the tech outsourcing for the world. And the next decade or two will be around healthcare outsourcing. And India will play a role front and center of healthcare outsourcing globally, right? Because India has all the traits to do well over there, right? Along with a few other Southeast Asian countries, maybe like Thailand, South Korea, whatever, right? But India has all of that. And I think we want to capitalize on that, get then, again, same thesis, Dineout, get in early, although we are not medically trained people by qualification, we still believe that getting in early, we have enough opportunity to evolve, pivot, etc., to build a large business in healthcare, because this opportunity is not going anywhere, right? People will travel for quality healthcare at the right cost. Again, going back to that whole Gen Z conversation, right? Earlier, people had that concept of saving. I'll wait it out 2 years, 3 years. Today, everything is instant gratification. If I'm having a knee pain today, I want to get it solved today. I can't wait 2 years for it. In UK, people have to wait 2 years to get a knee or a hip replacement done. Gen Z is not going to wait for that. Right? They want it instantly done. And if it is done at high quality, more affordable care, why can't we combine it with tourism, right? And sell it as a package to folks, right? And that's what we're trying to build, where we're combining medicine and tourism to build that as a platform globally, right? So we're starting with UK, India as a corridor, but eventually the way we imagine it is as a global play, which is an anywhere to anywhere play, right? Where we can solve the patient's need in the best possible manner, guide them through the entire journey, getting the right doctor, getting the right sort of surgery done, giving them the right aftercare. A full stack model is what we are sort of looking to build over the next decade or so.
I love it how the ambition have scaled massively, and for the right reasons. Because and it's an interesting point you picked up, where the next decade would be India would be really catering to the world's health ecosystem.
Yes, absolutely.
And and Sahil, a message that you would like to give to the Indians living abroad, thinking about India or India as an opportunity.
See, I think last 6 months I've traveled to the UK for 3 or 4 months, like thrice. I've been there for a month each, and the more I go outside, I realize how much of a struggle it is to live there, right? Versus the convenience that you have in India. I think people can't imagine what is available to us in India, right? Whether it is in terms of technology, even sitting at home and getting stuff in 10 minutes. Quick commerce has really spoiled us, right? So it could be anything, right? So I think life is so much easier here in terms of living. If again, I'm assuming people living outside India have enough money. I'm not saying that you're coming here with no money and then life is going to be easy, right? I'm just talking from a perspective that if someone has spent 20 years in UK, US, they've got enough savings and money to spend here and be in India. And if you have that, then there is no better place in India to be in, because one is your life is easy. It gives you more time and bandwidth to think of something new, where you get bandwidth, right? Otherwise, there you're stuck in your daily course, right? Where you need to do 10 things, you don't have support, you're busy doing that. You don't have enough time to build something new. But if you come back, you get that bandwidth where you can think of building something new, start something new for yourself, for your family, whatever it is. There are a few drawbacks. I think whenever we talk with friends outside that, pollution. Okay, pollution is one drawback which I can think of. But the other things, like in terms of crime rate, etc., or security, I don't think those are issues anymore, especially when you're living in a particular environment and place, because those countries are no better. The amount of stabbings that are happening in UK or US or the gun fights, etc. I don't think security is really that big an issue if you're living in a metro city like Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore versus in a Seattle or a San Francisco, right? So I think there are immense opportunities, and like I said, India is just getting started. In every aspect, I think there is a 100x growth which is possible, which I don't think is possible in Europe or US, because I think people are too comfortable with their lives there. There is no aspiration to grow. I think the way I think about it is that there are these 50-year cycles, so to say. I think there was a period where UK was running the world, right? And then US came in the 20s and 30s, and they've been running it for the last 100 odd years. I think China has now been dominating last 20 odd years. I think in the next 20 years from now, there will be a cycle for India where India is the superpower, and to reach there, that growth in the next 20 years is going to be crazy, right? So at least from a timing perspective, this is the best time to be in India, right? Maybe 30 years later will be a bad time to be. The cycle will change again, right? Is what I feel.
So this guy, I think Ray Dalio has written a book around it. The changing order of world, right? And it's basically a cycle of life.
Right.
You know, you start from where you have no resources, so there's no option. You have to work hard, and you have to work hard so your kids can have better education and better life. And then the second generation will work hard, but they'll start spending a bit on their lifestyles. And then the third generation will come; they'll have resources. So that's probably they will save a bit. But I mean, this is what we are seeing right now, right? At the most, what we'll do is we'll save money for our kids' education, and that's about it. But the fourth generation would not be saving at all. So then it's again the cycle of life. Then you become complacent. The fourth generation will become complacent.
Exactly. You can see that with any of these dynasties also, right? Like kings, right? Like Mughal dynasty, any dynasty, like 1, 2, 3, 4. By the time you reach the fifth guy, again back to zero, right? And it's cycle repeats. So I think we are in that best phase for India over the next 20-25 years, I feel. So I think this is the best time to be here.
Literally best time, and you can build something of a very, very large scale.
And especially if you're living outside, you know exactly what works, what doesn't. You can bring in those learnings and build it the right way for India, combining both worlds and building the right thing. And it doesn't need to be Indian alone. It could be a global product as well. I think out of India, so many global products are being built. That's not funny, I think.
I think in the beginning it was more B2B products exporting outside of India. I think Dineout was also in other countries as well. Not
no, we were planning to, but I think we stuck to India at that point.
India.
But now this is where, with the medical business, is where we're looking at the global play. Where we're actually looking to get people from across the globe to India to start.
Moving to our last section, Sahil. So we know you as an entrepreneur who's built a great brand, a great company. Now you're on to your second journey. What do your friends know you for? Who are you outside of work?
Who am I outside of work? So I think I'm the most sort of trusted, person or advisor in my friends group. Like anything where people need to come for any honest opinion or advice, I think people come to me for that because they know that I'm a very fair guy in that sense, not biased for any reason, right? And a true friend in that respect. I think that's what people value me for. Outside work, I love to sort of enjoy my life, party as well along with friends, have a good time, work hard, party harder is the mantra. Love to play sport as well, so play a lot of badminton. That's something that keeps, that's your me time, so to say, right? When you're not thinking about anything else, but just thinking about winning on court, right? So I think that's a good exercise, which keeps your mind fresh. So yeah, I think those are the things I love to do.
And Sahil, two questions that came. And is there anything that you're really obsessed about or giving you a lot of energy outside of work?
Obsessed about. Mm, I don't think so. I'm not that outside of. I think I'm very. Whatever I'm obsessed about is at work. I think because I love whatever we are building, whether it was at Dine Out or doing,
Mhm.
with the medical travel company. I'm obsessed about whatever we are building. So whatever time of obsession, so to call, I think it goes in work. Rest of the time, I like to chill,
Yeah.
be with my family,
Yeah.
kids, have a good time.
Mhm.
Whether it is going out with them, just playing at home with them, or going for a vacation, I
Mhm.
think that's the cool off period, so to say, because
Yeah.
I think generally that's the only way you can balance
Yeah.
between being a startup founder and your personal life, because otherwise you're 24/7 working, right? Even
Yeah.
at 2 a.m., you're actually working. It's not like in a corporate life where I can switch off at 6 p.m., right?
Uh-huh.
So, whatever break you get or time you get, you want to sort of
Yeah.
keep your mind off from
Mhm.
anything and working
Yeah.
24/7. So, yeah.
Yeah. Sahil, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it for taking the time and spending some time here and walking us through your journey through Dine Out, Swiggy, and now the new company. And I'm very excited about the new
Yes,
one. And
absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you so much, Shiva, for calling me here. It was great talking to you, and yeah, to the audiences out there.